Example 4, we're going to examine the exponential function of the form f of x equals c times a to the x. So the only difference between the exponential function we looked at the beginning of this lecture and this form is that now we have that constant c out in front of my a to the x. And we saw that in the previous examples. So here's how you start. They're giving you this point 0, 3, okay? That's my y-intercept. So let's see what happens when I plug in 0 and 3. So f of x is my y, so that's going to be 3, equals c times a raised to the x power. Well, x is 0. So that tells me that 3 is equal to c times a to the 0. Well, anything raised to the 0 power is 1. So if I solve for c, I get c equals 3. So when they give you this right here, this piece, this y-intercept, that y-intercept is always going to be your c. You don't have to show this work every time, okay? Now, once you have that piece of information, you now are given another point, and that's going to be your x and your y. So you're going to plug those in, and we're going to solve for the a. So again, my equation is y equals c times a to the x. All right, so let's plug in my y as 75. I now know that my c is 3, and I have a raised to the second power. So I'm going to solve this equation, get a by itself. So I'm going to divide both sides by 3 first. So that gives me 25 is equal to, these 3's cancel out, a squared. Well, we know to get rid of a square, we take the square root of both sides. So a is going to equal, well, normally we would do the positive and the negative, but we know in an exponential function, a is not allowed to be negative. So my a is simply 5. All right, so I have my a, I have my c, and I can write my final equation. Y equals 3 times 5 to the x. Okay, and if you want to put that in parentheses, you can. So y equals 3 times 5 to the x.